Okay, you have to hear about this. It's like the future of AI doing things for us, but way smarter than what we've seen before.
Oh, tell me more.
So imagine AI that can use our computers and phones just like we do, like clicking, typing, and all that. But there's a big challenge in getting them to reliably understand what they're actually seeing on the screen.
Yeah, that's right. It's a huge leap forward, moving beyond AI that just recognizes images or text. These AI agents would actually understand and interact with the digital world just like a human.
Right. It's mind-blowing. We humans do this stuff without even thinking, but for AI, it's a massive challenge.
Absolutely. One of the biggest hurdles is this concept of grounding, even with all the progress with large language models like GPT-4v.
GPT-4v, that's the one with the vision
Yeah,
capabilities.
exactly. But even with that, getting AI to understand what it's seeing on a screen and then taking the right action, it's incredibly complex.
So even if the AI can see a button, it might not know what that button does or where to click to make it work.
Precisely. It needs more than just visual recognition. It needs to grasp the function and context to each element, within the overall interface.
I see. So it's like the difference between recognizing a word and actually understanding its meaning in a sentence.
Exactly.
And that's where this new research on OmniParser comes in, trying to bridge that gap between perception and action for AI.
Exactly. OmniParser is designed to give AI a much deeper understanding of user interfaces. Think of it as an AI version of a website's code,
Oh,
but
interesting.
one that works for any interface, not just websites.
So it's not just seeing pixels, it's understanding the layout and the function of all those elements on the screen.
Precisely. OmniParser has two key components. First, there's the interactable region detection model.
Okay, what does that do?
Well, it identifies all the elements on the screen that a user can interact with. Things like buttons, icons, text fields, and so on.
Got it. So it's figuring out what's actually clickable or usable.
Right. But the really cool part is the second component, the icon description model.
Okay, so this one goes beyond just recognizing the icon. It actually tries to understand the function of it.
Exactly.
So instead of just seeing a gear icon, it understands that this icon likely represents settings.
Exactly. And by providing these descriptions, OmniParser gives the AI much richer information about the interface, which significantly improves its ability to interact with it.
So they put this OmniParser to the test, right? What happened when they combined it with GPT-4v?
Well, the results were remarkable. They used a variety of benchmarks to evaluate how well GPT-4v could perform tasks on different interfaces. And in almost every case, adding OmniParser led to a significant improvement in accuracy and performance.
Can you give me an example of one of these benchmarks and how OmniParser made a difference?
Absolutely. One test involved a task called CAssign. They showed GPT-4v a screenshot and asked it to identify a specific element based on a description.
So like they might say, click the button that says submit.
Yeah, exactly.
And it had to both understand the instructions and then actually locate the correct element on the screen.
Exactly. And without OmniParser, GPT-4v was only getting this right about 70% of the time. But when they added OmniParser's semantic descriptions, its accuracy shot up to nearly 94%.
Wow, that's a huge jump. It really highlights the importance of giving AI that deeper understanding of the interface, not just the raw visuals.
It's a game changer. Imagine the possibilities if AI could reliably understand and interact with any digital interface. It could revolutionize the way we work, the way we access information.
Yeah, even the way we design and develop technology.
Right.
Okay, color me intrigued. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm curious to know more about these benchmarks and the specific tasks they involved. I'm guessing there were some pretty clever challenges designed to really put OmniParser through its paces.
You're absolutely right. These benchmarks were designed to test a wide range of AI capabilities, from basic object recognition to complex decision-making. And that's where things get really interesting. So one benchmark that really stood out was Mind2Web.
Mind2Web.
Yeah, it's all about testing the AI's ability to navigate websites and complete tasks,
Oh,
like finding a specific product or booking a flight. Essentially, it's evaluating how well AI can use the web, just like a human would.
okay, that sounds like a real-world test. Did OmniParser give GPT-4v an edge here too?
It did, and the results were particularly impressive.
Ooh.
You see, some approaches to this problem rely on giving the AI access to the website's code.
Like behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which acts like a roadmap to help it understand the page's structure.
I see.
But OmniParser took a different approach.
So it was working without any knowledge of the website's code.
That's right. It had to figure things out solely based on the visual information and those semantic descriptions.
Hmm.
And what's remarkable is that even without the website's code, GPT-4v, with OmniParser, achieved higher success rates than some methods that did rely on the code.
Oh, wow, that's pretty incredible. It suggests that OmniParser is giving AI a more intuitive understanding of how websites work, almost like it's learning to read the web page the way a human would.
It really seems that way. It's not just about recognizing individual elements,
Hmm.
but about understanding the relationships between them, how they function within the overall structure of the interface.
Yeah.
It's a more holistic understanding.
Fascinating. So Mind2Web focused on websites. What about mobile apps? They tend to have a completely different layout and design. Was there a benchmark for that too?
They used a benchmark called AITW,
AITW.
which specifically focuses on mobile app navigation.
Okay.
This is a particularly challenging area because mobile apps tend to have a lot more visual complexity and varied layouts.
Right, and each app is different so that AI can't rely on any pre-existing knowledge of the interface. It has to adapt on the fly.
Exactly. But even in this challenging environment, GPT-4v powered by OmniParser outperformed a baseline that used a specialized Android icon detection model.
Hmm.
This shows the power of a more general approach that can adapt to different interfaces rather than being specialized for one specific platform.
It sounds like OmniParser is a real game changer for AI development. But I'm curious to know more about how it was trained. What kind of data did they use to teach it to understand interfaces so effectively?
That's a great question. They used a clever approach for training the interactable region detection model.
Okay.
They actually tapped into data from the document object model, or DOM,
Dumb.
of popular websites.
Okay.
Think of the DOM as the underlying blueprint of a website.
Okay.
It defines all the elements on a page and how they're structured.
Oh, interesting. So instead of manually labeling thousands of screenshots, they used this readily available website blueprint to teach the AI which parts of the page are interactive.
Precisely. It was a smart way to leverage existing data to create a massive training dataset.
Wow.
They collected the locations and types of interactive elements from the DOM, giving the model a wealth of examples to learn from.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But what about the icon description model? Teaching AI to understand the function of an icon seems like a much trickier task.
It is. And they got creative here, too.
Okay.
They actually turned to GPT-4, the language model, for help.
Oh, wow.
They took screenshots from a variety of interfaces and used GPT-4 to generate descriptions of the icon's potential functions.
So they use one AI to teach another AI. That's pretty meta.
It is. It's a fascinating example of how different AI technologies can work together.
And how well did that work?
Remarkably well. After fine-tuning on this dataset, the icon description model became much more accurate at recognizing the meaning behind common icons. It highlights the power of combining visual and linguistic information to give AI a deeper understanding of the world.
This all sounds very promising, but I also have to admit, I'm a little uneasy about giving AI so much control over our devices.
I understand.
What if it makes a mistake or falls into the wrong hands?
I understand your concern. It's important to acknowledge that AI is a powerful tool.
Yeah,
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
right.
As AI becomes more capable, it's crucial that we develop safeguards and ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
So what kind of safeguards are we talking about?
Well, there are many approaches. Transparency and accountability are key.
Okay.
We need to be able to understand how AI systems are making decisions and have ways to audit and correct them if necessary.
So kind of like a show your work feature for AI so we can see its reasoning process?
Exactly. Another important aspect is user control.
Okay.
We need to ensure that people have the ability to override or disable AI systems if they need to.
Okay.
It's about empowering users and giving them a sense of agency in their interactions with AI.
Those are all good points. But even with those safeguards, it's hard not to feel a bit apprehensive about venturing into this uncharted territory. It's both exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
I think that's a perfectly natural reaction. AI is rapidly changing the technological landscape, and it's forcing us to rethink our relationship with technology in profound ways.
Yeah.
But fear shouldn't paralyze us. It's crucial that we engage with these developments thoughtfully and proactively,
Right.
so we can shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Okay, before we get too philosophical, let's bring it back to OmniParser and some of its limitations.
Sure.
You mentioned that it sometimes struggles with repeated icons or imprecise targeting. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. Current AI models, even those as advanced as GPT-4v, are still working on their ability to fully understand complex visual scenes. While they can recognize individual elements, Grasping the subtle spatial relationships between them, especially in cluttered or dynamic interfaces, remains a challenge.
So it's like the difference between recognizing individual words and understanding the grammar and syntax of a sentence.
A perfect analogy.
Hmm.
And that's where future research needs to focus. We need to develop AI systems that can reason about spatial relationships, understand context, and adapt to the variability of real-world interfaces.
It seems like we're still in the early stages of this whole AI interacting with screens thing.
We are.
A lot more work to be done.
But the progress is remarkably fast. Think about it. Just a few years ago, the idea of AI reliably navigating a website or using a mobile app seemed like pure science fiction.
That's true. It's amazing how quickly things are advancing. Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, were there any other interesting or surprising findings in the OmniParser research?
There were. One thing that particularly impressed me was the researchers' emphasis on combining different types of AI models.
Huh.
Instead of relying on a single model to do everything, they integrated object detection models, language models, and even optical character recognition, or OCR, to create a more robust and versatile system.
So it's about creating an AI dream team where each member brings its unique skills to the table?
Exactly. And I think that's a valuable lesson for AI research in general.
Yeah.
As we tackle more complex problems, we need to move beyond single model solutions and embrace this idea of collaborative intelligence. Different AI systems working together to achieve a common goal, that's where the real power lies.
I love that idea. It makes you wonder what other incredible things we'll be able to achieve with AI once we figure out how to unlock its full potential.
It's an exciting time to be working in this field.
Yeah.
Every new discovery opens up a world of possibilities.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment.
That
All this talk of AI and cutting-edge research is fascinating, but I'm also curious about the practical implications. How will technologies like OmniParser actually impact our lives? What difference will they make in our day-to-day experiences?
That's a great question, and it's one that I think a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
Let's explore some of those real-world impacts in our next segment.
So we've talked about the technical marvels of OmniParser and how it's boosting AI's ability to interact with screens. But how will this technology actually change our lives?
Well, the possibilities are vast, and we're really just scratching the surface here. One area where I see immediate potential is in assistive technologies.
Assistive technologies. Okay.
Yeah, imagine AI that can seamlessly navigate digital interfaces for people with disabilities.
That would be a game changer. Like AI that could read text aloud for people with visual impairment.
Exactly. Or control a computer with voice commands for those with mobility limitations. It could open up a whole new world of digital access and independence.
Right.
And it goes beyond accessibility. Think about the potential for increased productivity and efficiency in the workplace.
Yeah, all those tedious tasks we all dread, like scheduling meetings, filling out forms, searching for information. AI could just take those off our hands.
Imagine having an AI assistant that could handle all those mundane tasks, freeing up your time to focus on more creative and strategic work.
Sign me up. But wouldn't that make us overly reliant on AI? What happens if we lose those skills ourselves?
That's a valid concern. It's a question of finding the right balance. AI should augment our abilities, not replace them entirely. It's about using AI to handle the tasks that we find tedious or time-consuming, so we can focus on the things that require uniquely human skills. Things like critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving.
I like that perspective. It's not about handing over control. It's about collaboration.
Exactly. And that collaboration extends beyond the workplace. AI could also help us manage our personal lives more effectively.
Oh, okay.
From reminding us of appointments to paying bills or even ordering groceries, it's like having a super efficient personal assistant available 24/7.
Okay, now you're talking. An AI assistant that anticipates my needs and takes care of all the little things. That sounds pretty amazing.
It does, doesn't it? And I think we're just at the beginning of this journey. As AI continues to evolve, I think we'll see even more creative and transformative applications emerge. Applications that we can't even imagine today.
It's both exciting and a little bit mind-boggling to think about. But before we get carried away with futuristic visions, I want to touch on something we discussed earlier. The potential downsides of giving AI more control over our lives. We talked about safeguards, but are there any other concerns we should be considering?
There are many, and it's important to have these conversations openly and honestly. One issue that comes to mind is bias.
Bias.
AI systems are trained on data, and if that data reflects existing biases in society, The AI can perpetuate those biases.
So if the data used to train an AI assistant is skewed towards a particular demographic or viewpoint, the assistant might exhibit those same biases in its interactions.
Precisely. It's crucial that we're aware of these potential biases and work to mitigate them.
How do we do that?
That means carefully curating the data used to train AI systems and developing methods for detecting and correcting bias.
So we need to make sure AI is serving everyone fairly and equitably.
Absolutely. And that leads to another important consideration: privacy. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it will have access to more and more of our personal data.
That's a bit unsettling. We need to be sure that data is being handled responsibly and that our privacy is protected.
I agree. We need strong data protection laws and ethical guidelines to ensure that AI is used in a way that respects our privacy and autonomy.
These are all important considerations as we move forward into this AI-powered future. It's clear that we need to be thoughtful and proactive in shaping the development and deployment of these technologies.
I couldn't agree more. It's not just about the technical advancements, it's about ensuring that AI is used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. From the intricate workings of OmniParser to the broader implications of AI's growing role in our lives.
It's been a fascinating discussion, and I hope our listeners have come away with a deeper understanding of this rapidly evolving field.
Me too. And for those who want to dive even deeper, we'll be sure to include links to the research papers and resources in the show notes.
Excellent idea. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to understanding the transformative potential and the potential challenges of AI.
Well, on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.